In the Season 2 finale of Helluva Boss, we got the crazy news that Millie is pregnant, and though we talked about the basics of what this might mean in a previous video, one commenter suggested I talk about the possibility that Moxy's father Crimson might come after the baby. So let's talk about the theory. My name is Deepcut, and say hello to your favorite Cartoon Universe office worker in the comments down below. Now, in the finale and on Sinsmas, Millie was acting a bit more aggressive than usual. At first in a fun way by just wrestling around with Moxy, but later by being pretty mean to Moxy and Blitz when they don't have it in them to kill the gay couple and their children from previous marriages. Millie had gotten on Moxy about needing to be prepared to kill a family all the way back in episode 1, but she wasn't nearly as aggressive as she was being in this episode, which was later revealed to be due to her pregnancy hormones. These can affect each species differently in real life, and it makes sense that the aggressive, sturdy, and violence-enjoying imps would become more aggressive as a defense to protect their coming child. Because of this, Millie got a pregnancy test that night and found out that she was going to be a mom. This is exciting for fans, but dramatic for Millie, and we discussed in our previous video how hell may be a horrible place to raise a child, even if you're a sturdy imp demon, as well as how this child might play into the bigger conflict on the horizon with Satan. But today, the important thing I want to focus on is the connection to Moxy's father, Crimson. Crimson is of course an important figure in the Greed Ring, where he is a rare imp among many loan sharks, and strangely seeming to have a lot of power over them. We can see in Crimson's gang that they do employ different species of demons as well, and it would seem to me that they use these different species of demons in order to have a connection to the different communities that exist in the Greed Ring. This gives them an inside man to help distribute the illegal, high-interest mob loans. Imps seem to be the largest population in Hell, and also the species that has spread the furthest, with them starting in the Wrath Ring it would seem, but they're now being Imp City in the Pride Ring where our characters live, and other rings like the Greed Ring being shown to have large imp populations as well. Crimson as an imp likely has so much power among the loan sharks because he's the direct connection to the largest population in the Greed Ring outside of the loan sharks. Crimson is also very focused on his business legacy, and though things were going bad for him when we first met him in early season 2, he was focusing on trying to fix this and being able to pass his business on to some sort of heir. This seems to be the reason that Crimson had Moxy to begin with, wanting a child that he could raise to someday take over his big mob business when he gets too old or passes away. Moxy actually did pretty well in the business, all things considered, and when Moxy's mother tried to keep him away from the dark parts like murdering people, Crimson just ended up having her killed. Imps as a whole seem to originate from Wrath, as we said, but Crimson and his wife clearly come from different cultures, with Crimson adopting the lifestyle of the Greed Ring even if he wasn't born there, and his wife clearly being from the Spanish-speaking parts of Wrath, with Moxy using that to explain that he comes from Wrath too, even if he seems more like a city boy. Crimson taking a wife from Wrath was likely meant to feel like a man from a more developed nation taking a wife from a foreign, less developed nation, allowing the man to have more control over his wife. Once Moxy's mother was out of the picture, Crimson was free to immerse Moxy in the business, even helping him dump bodies of their victims and eventually sending him to gang fights and to rob banks. Moxy would end up in jail for this, but would break out with the help of Blitz and leave that life behind. Because of this, Crimson would need a new plan for an heir, and when Chaz came back into his life pretending to have money, he seemed like someone who could make a good spiritual successor to continue on with Crimson's business and legacy, even if it wasn't through blood. With Millie pregnant, this actually gives Crimson a new opportunity to continue his business with an actual family heir. He already tried to marry Moxy to Chaz to make the union a bit more official instead of just adopting Chaz himself, and the episode ended with Crimson making it clear that he wants revenge on Moxy. He wasn't afraid to have Moxy's mother killed in order to keep Moxy in his business, so there's no reason to think he wouldn't have Moxy and Millie killed in order to take their baby and raise it as his own. He'd likely rationalize that it has the potential to be an even better heir than Moxy, perhaps inheriting some of his tactical skills, but Millie's overall natural talent. Without Moxy or Millie there to ruin his plans, he could raise the baby to be a super mobster capable of conquering the entire Greed Ring. And what's scary is, we already know that Crimson is spying on them. Moxy thought he ran away and started a new life where his father couldn't find him, but the minute that Crimson needed something from Moxy, he ends up just sending a helicopter to his office, not the moment that he found out where he lived. So with Crimson knowing where to find them, it's just a matter of time before he finds out that Millie's pregnant, probably not soon after she tells Moxy. But once he does know, it's in his best interest to wait until Millie gives birth or shortly beforehand, as Millie is just pregnant. Trying to kidnap her too soon would just lead to a rescue attempt. With seasons taking place over the course of maybe a year, it would make sense that towards the end of season 3, Millie would give birth, and this would be something of a climactic point where Crimson finally comes in to try and take the baby. Perhaps even happening in the season 3 finale. We know that Crimson and Stryker have been working together, and Stryker wants to get revenge on Moxy and Millie in particular, so it makes sense that the two might work together, and Crimson might send Stryker to come after their baby, tying together a lot of different epic plot points into one big climax. Of course, the most funny answer will be for the baby, or even babies if they have twins, being the one to give the final kill. This is something I could see Brandon Rogers gunning for, because it'd be pretty hilarious, especially with Millie being so nervous about having the baby. While that can be for a lot of reasons, some of which we discussed in the previous video, wondering if her baby will be like her or like the poor kids that she killed in the Pain games might be a real concern for her. And having the baby kill Stryker or even Crimson would erase that fear entirely, letting her know that the baby is ready to take on the world just like her mother. In addition to this, I also want to address the theory I see in the comments that maybe Millie cheated on Moxy and that's how she got pregnant. I don't have plans for a dedicated video of this nature, as it doesn't seem in character for her, and I instead think that they just conceived the child late on since Miss Eve. Don't tell me it would take longer than that for a pregnancy to work, she's an imp. Though I also like the theory that one other commenter had, that they actually conceived the child on the night that they survived the trial from Mastermind. After such a stressful day, they probably did go home and celebrate being alive and not having their livelihoods taken away or their closest friends murdered. But either way, I just don't think it's from Millie cheating on Moxy. But if you have theories on who the father could be, leave them in the comments down below and maybe we'll make a video. Now, before we go, I also want to talk about Moxy and Millie's baby names, because you guys had some really fun suggestions in the comments from my previous video, and I don't really have plans to make a whole video about that either. First, the most common name I see suggested is Molly, spelled similar to Moxy and Millie, which remove the typical Y at the end of the names in favor of an IE. The only problem with that is there is also a Molly in Hazbin Hotel, specifically the sister of Angel. That's spelled with a Y, however, and they haven't announced her name on screen, so that could also change if they ever want to do more with her character. Another fun idea I saw was that Moxy and Millie will have twins, a boy and a girl, where they name the kids after themselves but invert their genders. The boy's name would be Miller or Millard, as I've seen a lot, and the girl would be named Moxine. Though I also like the suggestion I've seen that it's just a girl named Mixie. But what do you guys think? Cast your votes for Millie's baby names in the comments down below, and when we finally meet the baby, we'll see which of us were right and which of us look absolutely silly. While you're down there, check out the Cartoon Universe shop, where we're selling tragic gay childhood t-shirts with variants for different flags and labels. Check it out. And finally, if you need more Helluverse content, check out the last video we did on Millie, or the big video we did breaking down the Helluverse iceberg charts and their conspiracies. See you guys there.
I guess we'll have no choice but to battle till the very end, our hands all over each other. No homo. There is no homo that I fear. Well then, may the best homo win!
Wait, what did you say?